Hi Aries, happy February. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a nice Valentine's Day. A new addition to my channel, there's a donate link in the description box below. If you wanted to, it's there. You don't have to, but it's there if you did want to. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into your reading. I hope you're doing well. Show me energies present in regard to love and relationships for the sign of Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, February 2019. Last portion of February 2019, moving onward. So you have Justice here, Aries, Libra energy, legal matters, fairness, things coming to light, information coming to you, wrongs being righted, Judges, Temperance, and the 10 of Pentacles. So some of you may be dealing with a situation in regard to a family. Some of you have had situations that are longer standing relationships. There may be an issue in regard to connection, communication, and the longevity of a relationship. Some of you, this is literally coming to a decision between the both of you in regard to what makes or breaks your relationship and what you're cutting out to essentially have longevity and positive energy in your relationship. Some of you, this is like, we're on the rocks. We're on the rocks. So let's go ahead and figure some things out here. A little bit more for Aries. You have the 9 of Pentacles here underneath Justice, with the 9 of Swords at the bottom of the deck for that. So that's in regard to this potential for some of you that are like on the rocks. There is more so the idea of, I may want to leave this situation, but how will I deal with this situation, leaving a situation that's long-standing? If you have family with the person, how do you balance out energies? How do you make sure things are divvied up equally? How do you make sure that emotions are not, that you're paying attention and you're honoring your own emotions and feelings? But also, if you have children, how do you pay attention to that? How do you make sure that everything is going to be safe and, you know, acceptable, workable for them? That's kind of a traumatic situation. Yeah. Show me more. So you have the Ace of Swords here, Aries. So clear-cut communication, cutting things out. You know, in regard to this 10 of Pentacles, this can communicate what we are going to cut out and what we're going to let remain in regard to creating a better situation in regard to our family, in regard to our relationship. You know, it's also sometimes cutting out a relationship. So let's get a little bit more. You have Death in reverse. So Scorpio energy, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean you're dealing with a Scorpio. This is a situation that seems like it's having you have a difficult time letting go of things in this. You have a hard time moving away from this. If you are in a family situation and there's like, you know, you're having to redirect things, you're having to basically separate your assets, separate ties, you know, that may be needing to happen. Some of you, you may want to work this out, but it feels here like there's almost too much being on the chopping block, so to speak. I hope that makes sense. And this is not going to resonate with every Aries. These readings are more so specific in an odd general way. That's just how my readings are. I can't change them. I can't make them something that they're not going to be. And if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not your reading, okay? I can't promise that it's going to be for you. You have the Knight of Wands here. Moving on, forward thinking, but also kind of hasty energy, quick, impulsive energy. You know, if you feel like you are being rushed, or you feel like the situation is, you feel rushed in the situation, I think it's important for you to have a level of patience, strength. You know, these things are going to take time. It's not something that you can just cut out quickly, you know. In some cases, for certain people, leaving the situation is going to be one of the better things that you can do, just because it honors your own integrity, your energy. It honors your personal space and how you value that. You know, that's really important in our lives, that we honor our personal space and value what we need in relationships. Sometimes we become so enmeshed that it's you need to separate yourself. You need to unwind yourself from the person, the people, the family, the situations, you know, the way that it has been. So let's clarify some things here. Show me the Ten of Pentacles. So for the Ten of Pentacles, you have the Star, Aries. This talks about healing. It talks about hope. You know, some of you, it talks about basically trusting a situation that it may get better. You know, at this point, some of you may need to separate yourself from the situation, not necessarily from the entirety of the relationship, though. That is something that's coming through for me. If you need to take a break, that's okay. Sometimes long-standing relationships take breaks. That doesn't mean it's completely dead. It just means, hey, I need a break, you know. That's important. Again, honoring yourself, honoring and valuing what it is that you need in relationships and what you need from them. You know, healing yourself, taking time away from situations to allow other people to heal in the situation as well. Sometimes when you do that, you allow enough space for communication to come through, where we're not like going back to bickering issues and going back to all of this weird fighting and frustration, and we keep ending up at the same, you know, little loop-to-loop roller coaster that we keep going on. It's like a broken record. You know, you need to basically, some of you may need to step away from a situation so you can actually find the time to heal and come back to it in a healthier way, you know, and that may be something that can bring longevity to your relationship if a situation is more so on a rocky ground right now. Show me Justice. So Justice, you have the Five of Wands here, Aries. In regard to the Five of Wands, the Five of Wands talks about difficulty sometimes in communication. It talks about people being at odds in regard to their communication with each other, somebody having one idea and the other person having a completely different idea, and how do we balance them out? How do we incorporate them together so they actually make sense and are effective in our lives, effective for our family, you know? And sometimes it just takes a level of trust in one another. But again, that comes with very, very clear and direct communication. Some of you may be being separated. I'm not feeling like restraining orders or anything of that nature, but what I'm feeling is like we're either going to a mediator, or we're talking to counselors, we're talking to mental health people. Some of you maybe not. Some of you, you feel that you know that you need to step out of something, and that's fine. You need to clarify things. That's fine. Some of you, though, are dealing with people that can help you in that nature. Some of you are dealing with people that are more so geared to help communicate. Some of you are having couples counseling, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. It seems like communication is the main focus of this reading. It seems like trying to get to on the same page is the goal of what this reading feels like to me. And coming back to certain things, maybe certain things that one feels should be this way, one feels should be that way, but it's not, you're not meeting halfway. And so it's like, the idea to maybe separate a little bit or like take some time for oneself is on the table, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just about honoring that, you know. And if it is for the longevity of your family, why not do that? There's no reason to stay in a situation where you're going to cause conflict with one another just because there's a family. You know, if you're showing that to your children, like you're showing them pain and frustration and anger and, you know, animosity. Like, have clear-cut communication with your children as well, maybe, and let them know that, you know, we need to separate for a little bit. We need, mommy, daddy need to take some time away. Mommy, daddy, whatever your situation is, whomever you are, you know, there needs to be some separation, some understanding that space is necessary for your own health, mental health. Temperance for Aries. You have like 3 cards flying out, Aries. So you have the 10 of Swords in reverse here, Aries. That was the first one to fly out. The other 2 were upside down, so I couldn't see them. The other 2 are the World and the 2 of Swords here, okay? Basically, the World talks about finalities, it talks about endings, it talks about lessons being learned, you know, big lessons. You know, it's not just like, oh, I understand that, okay, I'll change it. It's literally like, oh shit, that was incredibly tumultuous. I just went through the ringer and wow, I see a completely different understanding of this situation now. I have a totally different perspective. And I learned a lot about myself and my partner and my children and my surroundings, all of it. You learn and you change it. The World is talking about endings to ways of being, thought, feeling, but it's incredibly healthy. It's good for you. You know, it's a painful pill to swallow, perhaps, but it's better that it happens, because when you do that, that finality actually causes new things to move forward for you in your life, okay? So the World with Temperance, but that happens with a fair level of balancing energies out. This talks about balancing yourself out. It talks about balancing out communications and efforts with others. You know, what do I bring to a relationship? What does my partner bring to a relationship? What do we bring together that's wholesome and healthy? What do we show our children that's wholesome and healthy? How is it off center? You know, those are the types of things we need to pay attention to with the Temperance card. And it's like, those are more so larger lessons, especially in regard to the World, just because it's like, how do we move forward, you know, in a healthier way? You know, what is it that you've learned? What works? What doesn't work for you and your partner? If you're single, what is it in your life that doesn't work for you anymore? And you've done it numerous times and you realize, this just is not working for me. If you're single, that's more like, what is this in the financial aspect of my life that I've been doing over and over and over again, and I'm just not getting anywhere? You know, maybe you have an idea about something that you need to trust. Maybe you have like this inner burning desire that you need to get very straight with in your life and in your mind, and go for, you know, no holds barred. That's more so for the people that are not in relationships. For those of you that are in relationships that this is jiving for, I'm going to continue on right now, okay? Because it's coming out. The 2 of Swords talks about, it can talk about stalemates. It can talk about information being withheld, people that are not really seeing eye to eye, decisions that aren't being made because we're kind of stagnant within ourselves. You know, I can understand how that can happen, but with the World, we have to get over certain things. We have to jump over certain hurdles to actually be effective in our lives. You know, if you've been dealing with a person that has been very difficult with you, or you with them, you know, that's coming to a close here. The 10 of Swords talks about, it talks about difficulty in relationships. It talks about mental manipulation, mind games. It talks about deception. It can talk about betrayal, you know, being led one way, thinking something else. I could definitely see that, thinking one thing and experiencing something else. I can definitely see that with the Justice card here in regard to that, just because the Justice talks about situations where it was wrong. You know, sometimes things go wrong, and sometimes people are jerks and assholes, and they lead you down one way and it should have been another way, and it doesn't get resolved in the right way, or you're left hanging. Justice can talk about that being clarified and basically remedied, you know. And it's also in regard to universal divine justice. That also is something that happens. Like, if you've had way too much happen to you that's just been out of your hands, but also intentionally negative against and toward you, like, that's the universe saying, hey, not cool, not fair, you know, let me help you out. But yeah, it's in reverse. This is coming to a close, okay? Some of you, I think that may be why. It's like you may have experienced so much of that it's now you're like, do I stay or do I go? But even though you have this death card here in reverse, this is talking about having a difficult issue in regard to leaving, having a problem leaving a situation that has basically been very dissatisfying, but also something big that needs to change. And it's like having a hard time changing it, having a hard time walking away from either it or certain aspects of it. That's why I'm feeling that it's important for you to basically balance out your communication with this person, balance out the direction that you want to go in regard to how you solidify your life with yourself on your own terms, but also with the person, you know. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Sometimes long-standing relationships need reworking. You know, that's what marriage counselors are for. That's what redirecting our relationships are for. You know, you have to come up with understanding in regard to what you need in your own life. What do you need? What's going to make you satisfied in your own life? What's going to cause you to be happy? You know, what do you feel inwardly that is actually for you in your relationships, or that you want in your relationships, you know, that isn't necessarily there, but you want there. It would feel better if this were this way, you know, especially in regard to a family situation. You have to communicate that to your person, to yourself. Get clear about it here. Get clear about that information with yourself first, okay? And then bring that to the table. And have a game plan, okay? Sorry, all these cards everywhere. Have a game plan in regard to how you want to do this. Have a game plan in regard to how you feel about what's going on, you know, and communicate with your person. It feels here that like things have kind of just stagnated or been really, really painful. And now it's like energy is up against the wall. People are feeling very, it feels very, I feel pressurized. I feel like I'm in a pressure cooker. Okay. So that was for Temperance. You have the World, you've got the Two of Swords, and you have Ten of Swords in reverse. So as far as the Nine of Pentacles goes, show me Nine of Pentacles for Aries, please. Yeah, so you have the Sun, Aries, popping out. It's Leo energy, but the Sun talks about aha moments. It talks about clarity. It talks about unifying energies. It talks about family situations that are healthier. At the bottom of the deck, you have the Three of Wands for the Sun. So this is really essentially getting down to the bottom of the direction that you want to go in, but also knowing that what you're looking for is on the horizon. It's coming. It talks about communicating how you want things to be, how you want things to go. And if you truly want to be alone, you're going to have to find how you solidify that, okay? If you want a true divorce from somebody, you're going to have to find out how you solidify that, you know? At this point, though, honestly, it feels like this is more communication, how we want this to flow properly, how we want this to adjust so we can have a better outcome and more ease in our lives. But yeah, in regard to the Sun and the Nine of Pentacles, it feels like, you know, you really need to sit with yourself and kind of soak in your own rays of wisdom and understanding. Trust here with this, with the star. A lot about trust, a lot about self, getting to know the self, getting to be very comfortable with yourself and understanding what you need in situations. I keep feeling like I'm a broken record, but that's what I'm feeling right now. Show me the Ace of Swords here for Aries. So you have the Page of Wands now. So in regard to this communication, some of you may be communication in regard to a child. Some of you may be needing to listen to your children in regard to this. You have the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck for this Page of Wands, you have the Ten of Pentacles here. It's coming up twice now. So long-standing family situations, long-standing relationship situations. You don't have to necessarily have children, but these are long-standing relationships. I would say more so in the realm of like 5 to 10 years. It can also talk about financial abundance. It can talk about somebody who's very wealthy. You know, some of you may be needing to... Some of you may be dealing with somebody who's very wealthy, and they may be balancing out what they give you, but I don't think that that's a healthy situation. Like, if that's it, for some of you, I don't think it's a healthy situation. That's more like a sugar daddy, sugar mama thing, and yeah, some of you may need to speak with your children in regard to what makes them happy. What are the arrangements that they need to come to an agreement with? You know, it's almost as if everybody involved in this situation needs to take some time for themselves and really come to some understanding of what works for them, and then how we incorporate that as a whole. Show me the Death card in reverse for Aries. So you have the Eight of Swords here, Aries, in regard to the Death card in reverse. So this is essentially not knowing how to release yourself from a situation, holding on to mental stagnation, frustration. It's basically just ruminating in regard to a situation that needs to be released and let go of, but you are holding on to it. You keep going back to it. And with the Eight of Swords, this talks about, it's almost like letting your mind run wild, you know, letting things just kind of take shape in whatever form they may, yet they may not have 100%, like, they're not reality based 100%. It's more like letting fear take the wheel of your car, you know. So I'm going to put this spread away. I'm going to pull out more cards. Show me more for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. More for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. More. So, first card popping, sorry, got all these cards flying everywhere. First card popping out is the Six of Swords. This talks about energy that is basically, you're moving away from things that are mentally frustrating. It's basically seeking out calmer waters because what you've been experiencing has been something that's just emotionally tumultuous, but also it clouds the mind. It's that Eight of Swords energy, but it's now releasing it, you know. I think what's important though here, if you see this card, we have the swords in the boat and he's taking them with him. Be careful to not take these things with you, to not take this mental strife and frustration with you. When you're leaving something like that, it's important that you actually leave it. You let it go. You don't take it with you, because that's going to essentially stagnate your relationships. It causes more harm than good. You know, you're not essentially releasing something and healing from it. That World card and the other spread, you're not healing from it. It's still like maintaining problems. You have to release that energy, Aries, okay? Second card that popped out, you have the Five of Cups. So this is basically regret, remorse. Some of you, you know, as far as the Nine of Cups or the Nine of Pentacles goes, some of you are going to be leaving this situation and you're going to be regretful about it. In certain ways, I don't necessarily feel like it's regretful, like you left the best thing on earth. That's not what I'm feeling. It's almost as if you're still holding on to these memories, these thoughts, these feelings of what happened in the situation, and you're feeling very painful and regretful about that. And that's part of the healing process, but you have to also understand that there are new things that you're headed towards. You know, we can't take that pain with us. You know, here we have the Three Cups in front, which is what we're crying over, we're upset about. We're staring at the Three Cups. Behind him, he's got two cups that are upright. So it talks about energy that is present for you, but you still haven't accessed it yet. You know, it's there for you, but you have to go through the healing process. You have to go through the grieving process. That's integral to a situation, especially if you're leaving somebody or something. Here we have also in the boat, we have a woman and a child. Okay, so sometimes it may be male leaving, it could be a female and a child leaving, but in regard to this situation, it feels like somebody's leaving, you know, and there's a lot of regret, a lot of remorse in regard to this, but staying would be sitting in this. This is the Nine of Swords. It talks about basically where we are just mentally inundated with pain and frustration. You know, the whole point of this is to alleviate that type of energy, okay? Show me more for Aries, please. Okay, so we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. The Eight of Wands in reverse talks about somebody who's basically shutting off communication. They are not returning back cell phone calls. They're not making any type of attempt to communicate. It's somebody that can also be secretly moving away from a situation. You know, you have the Seven of Pentacles here, Aries, with the Seven of Wands here at the bottom of the deck underneath the Seven of Swords, not Pentacles, Swords. That's basically talking about somebody who is very anxious in regard to a situation where they've been dealing with somebody who's been dishonest, you know, very dishonest. This could be somebody who cheated on you, but it also could be somebody who just is mental mind games up the yin-yang, you know, somebody who is very, very difficult to deal with, and they don't really have much care or regard for you. You know, this could be blocking energy with somebody of that nature, you not communicating with them. Some of you, I'm feeling like the person that ended up doing this type of energy to you, that was really shitty to you, some of you, I'm feeling that that person is the one that's blocking you, and it's almost like it's unfair. It's not your fault, but they're being shitheads, and they're intentionally trying to shut you out and cause this pain, cause you to have regret and remorse. Ooh, that's not fun. Okay. Show me more for Aries. Yeah, so we have the Four of Pentacles here. This is holding off. Some of you, you know, for those of you, it's almost as if that past spread that was going between those that are dealing with a family situation where you need to communicate to save it. There's that aspect. This feels like this is for the people who are dealing with the situation now where they have to leave it, okay? There's many groups within these types of energies. This is a general tarot reading. This is not a personal reading. If this does not resonate with you, it's not for you, okay? If it does resonate, then it's for you. Yeah, here we have energy where, you know, some of you may not be telling the person where you're going. This may be a secret getaway. This may just be that you're cutting ties and you are being poker face silent about what you're doing. Show me the Five of Cups. Yeah, so here we have the Queen of Swords. And underneath that, coming out of the bottom, we have the Five of Swords. So again, really, really negative energy that you've been dealing with. The Queen of Swords talks about a woman or a man. It's an energy where we've experienced so much pain in relationships that we no longer want to stay. We no longer want to, you know, deal with the bullshit that ensues with being with somebody like that, you know. So this queen has essentially been taken through the shitter. She's been totally disregarded in many ways. And her way of now dealing with that is to essentially create space. But like, I'm going to hold up my sword. You can come to me clear, you can come to me correct, or you don't come to me at all. If you come to me with bullshit, and it feels like this woman has dealt with enough bullshit, or man, enough bullshit that they're like, okay, no. They may be feeling like this on the inside, really painful and frustrated and distraught, but the reality of it here is no, we're done. I'm leaving. Leaving on a jet plane. And I'm keeping my fucking mouth shut because I know what's best for me and my child, potentially. Yeah. The first spread felt like energies between a family that's getting things together and needing to communicate. This spread talks about more so the people that have to leave the situation, okay? Show me the Eight of Wands in reverse for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Strength. So you have Leo energy here. You have Leo energy in the other spread, the Sun. Some of you may be dealing with a Leo. It doesn't have to be. This talks about patience. It talks about perseverance. It also talks about taming your ego. Some of you, you've been dealing with somebody who's been very difficult to deal with. And it's like having to find the healthy balance, the healthy medium. Here you have the Four of Swords underneath that at the bottom of the deck. So this talks about essentially energy where we're taking time to heal. We're taking time to find resolve and remedy how we are feeling inside. So yeah, so this is basically 2 readings tapping into one of the initial energy. Some of you may be dealing with a situation where you need to talk, you need to communicate, you need to make sure that everything's on the same page to make that relationship work. Some of you are dealing with a situation where you're leaving and you're just choosing to remain quiet about a situation and do what's best for you. Really, really stepping into that 9 of Pentacles energy where you're just like, okay, this is what I got to do for me. This is what I got to do for my kids or whomever I'm involved with that I care about to make it a better situation. For some of you, you may have to cut ties. You may have to block people. So yeah. All right, Aries. I hope that this reading was helpful. If it was, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you choose to donate, go ahead and donate. And I would very much appreciate it. And if you don't, no problem. All right. Take care. Have a good time. Bye.